intermittent fasting combined with keto diet. And is that something you do?
I think it's something that comes naturally because how hunger happens is a falling blood sugar. It doesn't have to be low. It's just actually coming down. So this is why you can go to a Chinese buffet and eat all the sugar chicken and the rice. And soon, you should be full for days after, going to that buffet. But a few hours later, like, yeah, sure, I can have some ice cream or whatever. It's not that you have low blood sugar. It's the fact that it's coming down. And what goes up really high is going to come like this really fast. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when you're not having that blood sugar go up and down like that anymore, it's staying like this, you will get hungry, but it's not hangry. Like it's a manageable hunger, but it comes much more less often. So my boys are 13 and 14, and I don't know, they've been up for a few hours and they still haven't eaten. Mm-hmm. I find it interesting because they were just at my parents' house for a couple of weeks. We went on an African safari and they were staying with my parents, and it was like noon and they still didn't eat. And my mom was getting kind of upset. And I was like, Mom, you have to understand, like, they will eat plenty of calories, but it's in a different window than what you're used to, because she would give us a bednight snack and fear that we were going to like pass away in the night because we didn't have enough. But like the bednight snack was a real thing. And that was the hardest habit for me to break. It wasn't that I was hungry, but it was a habit ingrained in me for many, many years. But yeah, definitely like intermittent fasting kind of comes naturally because you can go much longer periods without eating. And so that's why like the whole GLP-1 thing, I think people should maybe just give their body a chance to do that naturally with ketogenic diet. And because that's going to help with your insulin, that's going to help with your blood sugar, everything that those drugs that are costing $1,000 a month are doing. You can do that with food. But again, you have to be ready to do it here,
Mm-hmm. But what do you think the impact is of eating a late night snack? Even, let's say it's a keto snack.
Right.
Well, what do you think the impact is?
I talk a lot about like hormones and how you can manipulate your hormones when it comes to your goals, right? And the largest surge of human growth hormone is about 30 minutes after you fall asleep. But that human growth hormone doesn't happen if insulin is present. And even if you eat pure fat, like a ketogenic snack, insulin is going to rise some, which is going to affect your rise of human growth hormone. They're like teeter-totters. When insulin is present, human growth hormone doesn't like to rise. So if you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, not eating 3 hours before bed is important. But that's also why I exercise in a fasted state when I wake up, because you can also, that second largest surge is a hard workout. But again, if insulin's present, it won't happen. So I would say like, just don't work out as hard if you can't, and eat right afterwards, eat some protein right afterwards. I know you're like into peptides and stuff, and just like, you don't want to inject peptides before bed if you ate. It's kind of like a waste. Don't you agree?
No? I mean, it's sort of a general rule, but yeah, I think when it comes to growth hormone promoting peptides, that may be true. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that you mentioned the idea of the keto drinks. So, and how that's related to Alzheimer's. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that and like seizures or epilepsy, it could be beneficial for that, or an athlete, but I just think the risks are unknown. Like you said, it's just, and they're so expensive. Like, just spend it on real food. I don't know.
Yeah. So how do you eat? Do you eat late during the day? And then you put in your window to a few hours?
I am more to have my meals earlier than my kids do, just because I do work out in the morning and I like to have protein right after that. So after, run, lifting weights, then I have protein, and it's usually a tenderloin steak, which I love. And I make my carnivore steak sauce, which is like, people love that. It's on YouTube. And then for lunch, I'll have fish, depending on, where I'm at in the world, that type of fish, seafood somehow. And I have some great sauces that go with that, whether it be like my coconut ginger sauce or something of that sort. And then, have you ever heard of my protein bread?
Yeah.
Okay. It's funny because I told you I was just on safari in South Africa, and where I stayed, they're like, "Oh, you're the protein bread girl," and I was like,
Oh,
"What?"
wow.
So they knew about Banting is pretty popular in South Africa, which is just another name for keto.
Oh,
Um, so they knew about my bread, and it's basically made from egg whites. And I know this sounds super weird, but you whip egg whites and you add dried egg whites to it, and it turns out like Wonder Bread. Like it seriously is. It has beautiful holes in it, like Wonder Bread, and it's soft and airy. And there's some technique to it, but people have made it around the world. And so making a sandwich with that or a hamburger with that, and it's totally carnivore for those carnivore people. Or like some eggs with the bread or toast or something like that. It makes really great angel food cake. It makes great.
wow.
You name it. It's pretty crazy. So something like that for dinner. I used to only eat 2 meals a day, but now I don't really like to be really full. I'd rather have 3 smaller meals. So it's still in a fasting window, but it's 3 smaller meals. It just works best for me and my lifestyle.